Hold on.
How's that? Welcome to the Green Cow Show. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Green Cow Show. I unmuted you twice. I don't know why you didn't want to unmute.
I don't know either because I didn't do that.
There was
Anyway,
a little weirdness today, and I'm not exactly
oh my
sure.
gosh, talk about weirdness today. We have plenty of that. Well,
Oh,
good
you had
morning,
some weirdness
everybody,
too?
and Merry Christmas Eve to you all. I hope you have a wonderful day today and a joyful season here at the end of the year.
Yeah, so good morning. We're a little bit at a different time than normal, but we would love for you to say hi. We'd love for you
Good
to.
morning, Maria.
Good morning, Maria. Hey, you can see comments, Lee. That's awesome.
I just saw that one. Yeah, that's
Wow.
very different than the usual.
Well, we're at a little bit of a different time today. I'd love for you to say hi. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know what's going on for your Christmas Eve, Christmas celebrations, anything fun or exciting. I wrapped the presents for the kids last night, and they saw them this morning under the tree, and they were kind of freaking out and shaking them and everything. And it was fun. So yeah, so let us know what you guys have going on. It's what are you doing for Christmas, Lee?
Well, I'm down here in sunny Florida, and it's a beautiful day, and we have part of our family here. So we have part of our family here, part of our family in Chicago, or in Indiana and Chicago. And so we're going to have kind of two Christmases.
There you go. Well, but you're flying home on Christmas, right?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully, as long as your flight's still scheduled.
Right. So there have been some cancellations, but I'm hopeful.
Maria says her plans are not so exciting. She's cleaning the kids' room so that there is space for any new toys that may appear tomorrow. Maria, I did that yesterday, and you know what? I'm trying to be extremely minimalist with it, and it feels so nice. So I know that like I didn't get my kids that much stuff. I just really hope that other people don't randomly show up with a bunch of junk. So my fingers crossed. Maria says more exciting is Christmas Eve service tonight, and I think that Brittany and I may be joining you there, Maria, because a lot of the other services are at 4:00, and Brittany doesn't. A lot of people don't get off that early, even on Christmas Eve. So been trying to find something that's a little later. So yeah. So anybody else who wants to share your Christmas Eve plans, that's awesome. We are going to talk today about underemployment for Career Friday. Underemployment, yeah. And so the definition I shared of underemployment from Investopedia is people who are classified as underemployed include workers who are highly skilled but working in low-paying or low-skill jobs, and part-time workers who would prefer to be full-time. So that's very dictionary-y. I basically classify underemployment is if you are not working in your area and you want to be, and you are not working at the level of compensation or of title, if that's important to you, that your experience and education qualifies you for. And then also if you're working the part-time and you want to be full-time. Though that's sort of what I classify underemployment as. Would you have anything to add to that, Lee?
Oh gosh, unfortunately, we see a lot of underemployment right now. And just like the two categories that you kind of mentioned, and some people are underemployed kind of by choice right now. I think.
I don't really consider that to be underemployment. I mean, I know like if you look at the economy and like you look at all the reports and everything, that's technically considered to be underemployment. But for me as a career coach, it's like you want to be working in your field or what you're qualified for, and you're not. Some people are by choice for various reasons, and that's absolutely fine if that's your choice,
And I think that there is a segment that's underemployed, and they're kind of riding a wave of this great resignation stuff,
Hmm.
and they're just seeking better stuff.
Sure, sure. And yeah, it's I know people who have become or underemployed by choice so that they can kind of figure out where they want to go and what they want to do, because maybe they had a really stressful job before and they don't want to be in a stressful job, and
I don't
they
want a stressful job.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think my job is stressful. Time management can be stressful for me, but I think that's because there's a lot of demands on my time.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't think I have a stressful job. I don't really think I have that demanding of a job, but sometimes my life can be demanding.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that both are kind of true. Your job is kind of demanding, and your life certainly is. I mean,
Yeah.
raising three kids is that's a challenge.
Right. One of whom turned off my data yesterday, which kicked me out of a Zoom meeting. I don't know if you saw that one. Yeah. So, being underemployed by choice is a strategy that a lot of people use, and that's completely fine if that is where you're at. And sometimes I advise people to go that direction too. Sometimes you just need to detox from being in a challenging environment or having some challenging situations go on in your life. Now, I will tell you that back from my personal history, if you go through a period of like super stress relating to work and like you consistently have to go through it, stress detox, stress detox, that's probably not good. You probably want to find something that would get you out of that pattern. But being underemployed by choice is sometimes a strategy that's used to help you transition. And it's one that, as a career coach, I fully support if that's what you want. Other people are underemployed by choice because it works better with their lifestyle. Maybe they don't necessarily need a full time income because they have other sources of income. Maybe they have a spouse that's working and they're primarily caregiver for kids or elderly adults, but they want to have something on their own and they would prefer something that's not something they have to take home with them. So I completely understand all of that, and I'm okay with all of that. And if you're in any of those situations and you want to talk about that, please feel free to send us a message. But what I want to specifically talk about today are people who are underemployed and they don't want to be. And I see that often as a career coach, mostly in terms of people who have gotten some sort of training in an area and have not been able to break into that area.
Hmm.
So this is often people who got a college degree, maybe a secondary, post-secondary degree, master's degree, doctorate. Maybe you went and did a certification course and then you were just never able to break into that area. So that's one big population I deal with. Another is folks that have been not by choice, have left a job in their field, and it was fairly abrupt and sudden for whatever reason. This is usually related to layoffs. A lot of it happened due to COVID. Sometimes it's a personal choice that you were forced to make. There's an illness in the family. You had to resign to take care of that situation. And then having a really hard time breaking back into your chosen field. I see this a lot also with stay-at-home parents who are maybe in one field for 10, 15 years, then stayed at home for 1 to 5 years, and are having a hard time breaking back into that field. So those are the big areas that I see, and I kind of want to speak to some suggestions there. Is there anything else that you kind of see in the world that fits into this category?
Well, I just want to say that in this community and other communities, it's really important that you participate. And if you are having those challenges, if you're in any one of those categories, there are other people in this community who are in
Mhm.
the same boat, so to
Right.
speak.
And we are doing some really cool things to actually develop the community that Lee might not even be aware of right now.
Oh boy.
But I'm doing some fun stuff to help make our group a little bit more interactive, and that's really what I want. And so if you have questions about this, if you're watching on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. Send us a message and go to our website. Send a message that way too. greencowshow.com. And, let us know what challenge you're dealing with. But let me talk to a couple of these areas and what you can do if you're feeling frustrated because you're underemployed. The first thing I think, one of the things that we often talk about in the show is like everything we talk about is rooted in mindset. And this is one of those issues where I see mindset as being super important, because a lot of folks come to me who are in this position and they just feel so defeated. They feel really frustrated. They feel like I'm never going to break into this. I'm never going to get into my area. I'm never going to get to do what I want to do. And I understand how hard it can be, because, we've done shows before about how your job is tied so closely to your identity. And so especially if you have a degree in something, like you're a specialist in one area or the other, and you are not working in that area and you feel like a disconnect in your life, that can be a challenge. So I definitely empathize and understand why people come to me with those things. But what happens that I've noticed time and time again is that people who have that attitude, they don't break into that because they just feel so defeated. And so they're not performing well in interviews, and they're not really jumping on opportunities that are presented to them because they feel like they can't, achieve them. And it's not so much that they can't achieve them. It's not that they're not qualified. It's not that they don't have the skills. It's that they've just decided that they're not going to be able to do it. And so they don't. And that's the hardest people for me to work with, because I'm like, I can't help you when you don't want to do it.
They actually may not even realize that they're in a negative vibration and that they're causing negative stuff to happen. Mm-hmm. They've just gotten caught up in that.
Absolutely.
Spiral.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I recommend for these folks that can really help to boost you out of that right away is, I say, go and find some project work in your area. And it's best if you can get paid for this. And I think you should get paid for it. And most of the time you can get paid for it. If you end up doing something that you're not getting paid for, that's okay sometimes.
It's volunteer stuff, helping a community, mm-hmm. stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I start with first is I say, go and just look for start with advertising. Look for people that are advertising for what you do. So, if you have qualifications in a specific area, go on LinkedIn and Indeed and all that and look for project work, because that stuff is being posted more and more on those places. A lot of people don't even think about that. They don't think to look for the consulting and project work positions, and you can filter by those on a lot of those sites and find that kind of work. So I said, start there. Hey, go to Craigslist. I mean, they have that kind of stuff on there too. Start by looking for organizations that are actually advertising for this work. Now, if you don't find that, especially if you're in a really specialized area, you might not find that. So number 2 is start making a list of the organizations that do work in your area, or that might need someone that does work in your area, and look more closely to see if they're advertising for that work. So that means going to their websites, looking on their LinkedIn profiles, making connections with people who work at these organizations, and asking about project opportunities. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is where you can actually approach organizations with a proposal to do this kind of work for them. This usually works best when you've identified some sort of need that they have. So I was talking with a client a couple of months ago who does archival work, which is, again, one of those very specialized fields that can be very hard to break into. And one of the things that this person said was that they'd noticed that a lot of very small cemeteries were not, had no records. They didn't have records of any of their grave sites at all. And anybody I'm kind of weirdly into this stuff. I follow these grave things in Indiana because it's weird. But if you noted that's the thing. Like most cemeteries should have records of the people that are buried there and all of that. And so this person was suggesting I might go to these small organizations because they can probably get funding to hire me to come in and do their archival work. And I was like, well, that's a great idea. This wasn't even my idea. This was completely their idea. And then the other thing that we talked about is, again, because this person does archival work, a lot of people are really into genealogy and have papers and photos and stuff going back years and years and years and years. And my suggestion was that this person would team up with a professional organizer, because when they go into homes and they find papers and they're like, well, I don't want to get rid of that because it's my letter from my great 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 grandfather, but they're like, what do I do with it? Then this person could come in and propose a solution for how to organize the family's records and artifacts and all of that, which I think a lot of people would really enjoy. And so those were, some suggestions, some thoughts there. So, you can approach those people and take on that project work, and that can help you to start to break into that area. Yeah.
Yeah, we hear stories of people doing things of all kinds, and those things that you just mentioned took a little bit of creativity. I never would have thought of those things, and it's amazing how many opportunities there really are right now. This is a great time in history to create your own new opportunity, or to find one that's out there that just you're not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe the employer in this case hasn't even thought of what they might need.
You have to be a little bit bold in these situations, but if you can back up what you say that you can do with some good evidence, then it's a great way for you to start breaking into that field. Now, does that mean it's still not you being employed full time in that field, but what it does is a couple of things that can, like we were mentioning, the mindset that can boost your mood, first of all, because you're working on a project you really enjoy. And then second of all, and I don't know if you know do you know anything about like the chemicals that are in the brain that are produced when you're working on a project you love? Have you ever done any reading
Like
on that?
endorphins and things?
Yeah, it's like really cool. Like when you're working on a project you love, it's like your brain makes happy hormones or whatever it is. So that's kind of cool. And we all know the value of working on something we really love. It's fun and it helps us to feel better. So that's one thing. The other thing is it just gives you that it gives you items to put on your resume and your LinkedIn profile that can help move you towards the next step. And so one other thing I'll say in that area, this is a suggestion that I've given a lot of people, and it's been very helpful for some of them. So if you're stuck in this situation, oftentimes I recommend that you find a fairly non-controversial local branch of a large nonprofit organization, like the American Heart Association, and approach them about doing some kind of work in your area. And that might be volunteer or it might be paid. But this is helpful because when it's a recognizable name and it's an organization that most people feel fairly positively about, that can be really beneficial to add to your resume. And many times these organizations have the funds to pay you, or at least to pay for your project. So, if you need resources. And number two, the structure is solid enough so that you don't end up dealing with the turmoil that sometimes comes when you go into a really small nonprofit and there's a lot of disorganization and we're not really quite sure who's supposed to be doing what. And so that's a recommendation that I've made to several people, and it's helped them just to steer themselves in the right direction.
Yeah, it can be great networking too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's that. The second thing, if you're underemployed right now and you're really struggling to break into your field, is take a close look at the materials you're using to apply to jobs, as well as the strategy that you're using to apply to jobs. A lot of times, you have transferable skills, and you might have, a degree in social work, and you've been working in a restaurant, and there's a lot of transferable skills working in a restaurant to social work, right? There's communication, there's, being able to work in a high stress environment, there's time management. Those are all transferable skills. The thing is, when you're presenting that case to a potential employer, you really have to connect the dots for them, and not suggest that they're going to connect the dots themselves. So I have a lot of people that are like, I'm applying and I have my education right up there and I have a master's degree in social work, and it's like, but you're not building that case. You're just listing, I worked at a restaurant and I have a master's degree in social work. You're not spelling out all the work that you've done, and how those skills are going to be valuable to you in this position. And that's really important to do. And oftentimes I find, once I help people to do that, they end up getting the job, because it's just, they're not really building the case for themselves.
You say building the case. Is that similar to building a story that
Yeah, like it's building a story, but at the same time, it's providing evidence to back up your claim, right? And it's telling, we talked about storytelling before. Like, what's the story you're going to tell? Is the story that you're going to tell that, you've been underemployed for 4 years working at a restaurant, or you've gained valuable skills in these areas? You either way, you can choose to tell either story. And
those are two very different stories?
they are two very different stories, and oftentimes people aren't telling any story at all. They're just like listing things, and that's not going to be helpful, because I'm not going to know. As an employer, I'm not going to understand until you spell it out for me, that this is why I'm qualified and this is why I'll do well in this position. So really focus on your transferable skills and your resume, your LinkedIn, and your interview. And with that, also look into how are you looking for jobs in that area. I think I've told you before that like 70 to 80% of jobs are never posted, and every job that you apply to has a 5 to 10%. There's 5 to 10% chance that you're going to hear back. And so there's a 5 to 10. If you're just applying on like Indeed and LinkedIn, you're applying to 20 to 30% of the jobs that are out there. And each one you're applying to, there's only a 5 to 10% chance you're going to hear back. So those odds aren't great. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. You should. I mean, if you see positions that you want to apply for, by all means apply for them. But consider adding something to your job search strategy. And that might be, similarly to what I talked about in finding project work. Start by looking at the organizations that you're interested in rather than the job titles. Rather than searching for openings, start by searching for organizations you'd like to work for, and then go that route. And start by organizations you'd like to work for that are likely to hire someone with your skill set. And go that route, and then start making connections with those organizations. Find people on LinkedIn that you can talk to. Look to see if there's anybody listed as a recruiter for those organizations. Attend networking meetings in your field. That kind of adding at least one thing there. And I know that like those things take more time than some of us have, especially if you're underemployed and you're working overtime to be able to afford your bills. I get that. But if you could add, even some online networking, going on LinkedIn, making some connections, you can do that at 2:00 in the morning, when you get home. You're going to see a greater return than if you just keep firing off applications. Because especially if you're in a very specialized field, if it's a creative field, those positions are getting anywhere from 100 to 500 applications. And so again, I'm not saying you're not going to stand out, because you may very well stand out, but it's not great odds. And so it's better to, try to maximize your job search. I have an acronym I use called LINK, which is LinkedIn, Internet Applications, and Connections. So LIN for LinkedIn, IN, and then C, Connections. And those are like the three areas that almost every job seeker should be maximizing. And unfortunately, a lot of people just go with the I, which is the internet applications, and they wonder why it's taking so long for them to get any kind of results. Yeah.
So I think this is a great conversation, and I know that this community, I mean, today is Christmas Eve, so I don't know how many people are going to watch the replay today, but I want everyone to know that this community is open for people who have things to talk about, who have challenges to deal with, who actually are in a position to help others. I mean, we have all of those here, and we appreciate all of you. So is
Right.
there anything,
Go ahead. Sorry.
is there anything else on your list there?
Well, my thought was just like, if you are someone who works in a field that is kind of hard to get into, see what you can do to offer some opportunities to people who might be looking to get into that field. You might not be hiring yourself. You might not be able to hire right now. That's okay. But see if there's something that you can do to, reach out to somebody who's clearly qualified and talented, but struggling. If it just take a little bit of your time to reach out to someone in that who fits into that category, and see if there's something you can do to help them. It might just be a connection. It might be some advice about how they're going about this. But if everybody who is in a field like that took some time to look out there and, offer some assistance to someone who's struggling, I think we'd see a lot less of this as well.
Okay.
Well, that's everything on my list.
All right, that's awesome. I want to say to everyone out there to remember that this is the end of the calendar year. This is Christmas time. It is holiday season.
We have one more week till the end
What's
of the
that?
calendar. We have one more week.
That's right. We have a whole week. And so remember to use that time wisely. For some of you, it means spending some time thinking about what you want to accomplish next calendar year. Again, it's kind of arbitrary, but the calendar is a good kind of graphical item to remember what it is that we want to do on, one of many 12 months. And so it's helpful in that. So if you haven't started your goals for next year, consider doing that. And if you're not sure how to do that, we can help with that. It's a great thing. I see a little yellow finch.
Nice.
Sorry, that was kind of like a squirrel thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, our next show will be on distractions. Oh my goodness. I sure have a lot of those.
Yeah, lots of distractions. So if you don't have anything else to add, I'd just like to say to everyone to make this a great day wherever you are. How cold is it up there in Chicago?
It's not at all. It's in the 50s.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's warm. There were a bunch of people running this morning they were doing like a Christmas Eve 5K, and some of them were wearing these like big fluffy Christmas outfits. I was like, man, they're gonna be hot. I'm like,
well, that's great.
Cold.
Well, yeah. We'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, and if anybody knows if Starbucks is open at Christmas, let me know, because I'm gonna be suffering if not.
Okay, well, do something really nice for somebody else today, and a whole bunch of people if you can. Enjoy your holiday season. We appreciate each and every one of you for being part of this community and for helping other people while learning good things for yourselves. So be the light, be that hope for people, and we will see you on Monday, right?
Yes, we will. If anybody wants to borrow my kids on Monday, just let me know.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else here from sunny Florida. It's a beautiful day here. And yeah, I'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.